Welcome everyone to the next portion of the CoreView Finance training videos. In this video, what we're going to be talking about is the end of month and how to process that end of month. The end of month is similar to the end of day in that the end of month is a single post set that contains all the end of day post sets, whereas the end of day contains all the receipts for a given period. By definition, the end of month or the end of period provides the user with the ability to group the end of day close post sets for a specific time frame. This is usually done monthly. For ease of record keeping, it is recommended to do the end of month or end of period as often as treasurer checks or vouchers are processed for local account distribution. The main purpose of this process is to create check details for all the account distributions that have occurred during the period selected. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it. That gives you a little bit of a brief definition of what our end of month is. The end of month is going to be located in the financial module. So that's what we're going to go to first. So at the top left-hand corner, we're going to go ahead and go to modules and then select financial management. From there, we're going to go up to functions and then the EOM cash book. That is our end of month cash book. Again, these ones are a little, they don't seem right because this is a test environment. In an actual court, you will be seeing ones for end of month January, February, March, so on and so forth. It's also, like the definition states, we recommend that it's done monthly. There are some courts who do it differently. Again, I would double check with your judge or court administrator to see what the process is for that for your court. In this example, what we're going to go off is based off a month. So the end of month, what it does is it takes all of the unprocessed end of day post sets and processes them into one end of month. This end of month then will create an end of month check, which is sent to some type of treasurer or controller's office at that time as well. So let's go ahead and start taking a look and see how this process goes. So now right now we are in the end of period selection screen. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to go ahead and do an add record. Once we are in the end of period maintenance screen, we are going to select our cash book. There we go. So what's going to happen on the start date? You probably noticed that some date was defaulted in there. It's going to default with the very last end of day post set that has not been processed for an end of month. In this example, it's going to be from 10/15/2019. Today is 1/9/2020. Just comes to show you how much we actually dive into the test environment. So for your guys' court, it may be something closer to an end of month or beginning of month, something like that. So if you're processing a December end of month, you might see that start date be sometime maybe January 30th or something like that, or December 1st. The one thing that we have to do on our end is going to be selecting an end date. By choosing an end date, we go ahead and select the little gray box here, and what comes up are all the post sets that have not been processed yet. So what we're going to go ahead and do for this example is I'm going to go ahead and just do an end of month for all of these end of day post sets. Although these are not for the single month, I just want to show what it looks like when you have multiple end of day post sets together. So you want to select the most recent end of day post set, which is the very top one, and hit select. Bear in mind that there might be some post sets extra. You do not have to select the very top one if that one falls outside of that month parameters that you guys want to include for your end of month. So I'm going to go ahead and select the top one and just say that I'm going to process all the end of days that we have. And so what the system is going to do at this point, down here you will see that it is now processing all of those end of days. The more receipts you guys have or take in during that month, the longer this process is going to take. So we'll go ahead and give this a second. And there we go. It looks like it finished processing here. So what the system is going to do is it's going to list all the accounts in that court. That's why you're going to see some of these accounts have a zero dispersed amount. These amounts on the right-hand side where it says $6, that just means that this account here, the AA fee for genetic marker analysis, payee name test treasurer, had $6 receipted into that account during that month. These amounts are going to be a lot larger for your court just because you guys are actually taking in receipts from various people. So once we verify that everything looks good, we have this dispersed amount here, 342. This is letting us know that our end of month check is going to be $342, okay? The last thing that we have to do here is once we have the cash book selected, we choose our correct end date. We verify that, okay, these amounts look pretty right on. Our amount should then be 342. We just have to include some type of comment for this end of month. So typically we just go ahead and do, and then we'll just do Jan 2020, or we'll do December 2019. Okay, so there is a certain format for your court, then I would just follow that same formatting for the comment. So there we go, we've now included our comment. So as long as everything looks good here, then the only thing that's left is to hit save. We're gonna go ahead and hit save, and now it's gonna take a minute to go ahead and process this. This report right here is going to have us, it's going to give us the end of month reporting. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'm going to go ahead and print it to screen so that way you guys can see it. And there we go. It's the same exact thing that we saw on the page on the previous screen, where it's just showing us the dispersed amount coming from each account. So again, we have discussed that dispersed amount or what a dispersed account is. And this is showing you that at the end of the month, this is how much is being dispersed out of that given account. So that's the simple way of showing what we are talking about when we're always saying dispersed accounts. Print that out if you need to for your guys' records. I would recommend doing so. I'm going to go ahead and hit close on this. And it's going to take us back onto the previous screen that we were just on. So now we see that we have our start date from 10/15/2019 all the way to the end, or till December 20th, 2019. So these dates will probably fall a little bit closer to an end and begin date dates for a month when you guys process yours. We have our comment end of month, December 2019, and then we have the total of the dispersed amount. This 342, where is that else going to show up? We talked about in the checks video that there was another way of generating checks out of the system, and the end of month is definitely one of those processes. So where's that check go to? What we're going to go ahead and do is hit close. We're going to stay in financial management, and what we're going to do is we're going to go up to functions and print checks. We want to select our bank account, and there we go. Now we have our test treasurer check that will be sent over for the payee test treasurer. It's saying multiple for the description because there are multiple accounts, multiple check details included on this record here. The possible amount for 342 and then the amount for 342. This looks right. Before we go ahead and print out our check, there's a little bit of reporting that we want to go ahead and do. Bear in mind that a check cannot be voided or voided out of the system. If there was an incorrect check number added to this, then the only thing that we could do is reprint it, but just know that we cannot void these checks. They simply can be reprinted. Okay. So what are the reports that we need to use to reconcile against our end of month? We're going to go ahead and I'm going to hit close one time. And in the financial management, we're going to go up to reports, and we're going to go down to the very bottom where it's the state and county auditors report. Okay, so this one is going to select, it's going to show a report of all the money that had been dispersed out of these accounts. And ideally, we want the state and county auditors report to match with what we have on the check. So let's go ahead and start from the very top. Report type, county costs and fees. We're going to go ahead and leave that there. For the account types, we're going to go ahead and just leave it select all dispersed. We don't want to include any of the holding accounts just because that's not money that's really included on the end of month. It's only disbursement accounts. So we're going to go ahead and do select all disbursements. Next, we're going to go ahead and do county name. So for this one, I'm just going to do Test County. The bank account, I'm going to go ahead and choose the bank account that's associated for this court. The cash book, the start date should be the same as your end of month. So I believe that was 10/15. It's this one right here. So that one. So now we have our start date, and then the end date should be our very last post that was processed. This one's still open for receiving, so we do not want to select that one. We want to select the one that was just processed, or the end post set that was included for the end date on the end of month. So we know it's this one right here. I'm going to go ahead and hit select. Print to, you can either choose it to send it to the printer if you'd like for your own records. I'm going to go ahead and print the screen so that we can see what it looks like. All right. Now that we've said that we're going to go ahead and select all the disbursement accounts for this court are going to be selected. So let's go ahead and hit OK. And again, what this report shows is how much money was actually collected with regards to these accounts in this given time frame. So as you can see, it's over here processing, so it's just going to take a second. So we'll give it some time. And there we go. It looks like our report has generated. I'm going to go ahead and magnify that a little bit. What we're particularly looking at on this report is collections this period. This is letting us know, again, how much money was collected with regards to each account. We're going to have the accounts listed on the far left. This is going to show the prior collections. So any date before this, it's going to show what was collected. It's going to show the collections for this period that we had selected, the 10/15/2019 through 12/20/2019. And then on the far right, it's going to show how much has been collected to date. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a bit. Too much. There we go. And at the very bottom, we see that there's 342. So good. Our end of month check was for $342. Our state and county auditor's report is showing that it's 342 as well. That's awesome. We can go ahead and choose to print that and include that on the records to know that, yep, we reconciled that what we collected for these accounts during this period matches up with what was reported in the end of month check. Cool. So let's go ahead and close out of this one. The next reports that we suggest running, and we always suggest running these for every day as well, just to make sure that your guys' account and your guys' bank balance match up. So let's go ahead and take a look at a little bit deeper into what I mean by that. So we're going to go ahead and stay in financial management. The next two reports that we want to go ahead and run are called the account balance listing, or what we call it the ABL. And then the second report is the bank balance listing. That one we refer to it as the BBL. Both of those reports are still going to be in financial management. We're going to go up to reports and go to account balance listing. Okay, so up top, it's going to ask us for the bank account. We're going to go ahead and hit the drop down menu and select our bank account. It's going to ask us for the cash book, drop down menu, and select the court. We have the option of running this report, the account balance listing, and this is same for the bank balance listing. It's going to give us the option of choosing either a start date, which is just our end of days, or over here, this EOP start date. Remember how I said that end of month, or we refer to it as the end of period, EOP. This is what that is referring to, this end of period. So again, we can choose to run this based off of the end of days, or multiple end of days, and the end of month. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we want to look at our account balance listing with regards to the end of month. So we're going to do the EOP start date. I'm going to hit the little gray box over here. That's going to bring up all of our end of months. We know that this end of month is the one that we want to look at. So we're going to select that one or highlight it and then hit select. Same thing is going to be done for the EOP end date. We're going to hit the gray box, select that same end of month or highlight it and then hit select. I always do the exclude non-activity accounts. That means that any money that didn't go into a certain account aren't going to be listed on the report. Next, you can do print to. You can either choose to send it straight to your printer or to the screen. I'm going to go ahead and send it to screen so we can take a look at how these are. I'm actually going to print this one. So I'm going to print this one, and then we're going to take a look at the BBL, because unfortunately, when the print to screen functionality only allows us to look at one report at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and send this to the printer, and I'm going to send it to PDF. And these reports do take some time to run, so if it takes longer for you guys, don't fret. It's just sit back and give it some time to think. So I'm going to go ahead and put test. This is the ABL. All right. And the next one that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go back up to reports, and like I mentioned, it's going to be the BBL or the bank balance listing. Same kind of parameters that we have here. We're going to go ahead and select our bank account, select our cash book. Not going to do it based off end of days. We're going to do this based off the end of period or the end of month. So I'm going to select that, highlight the end of month for December. And then for the end date, it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to highlight the end of month for December, hit select, and then actually I'm going to go ahead and send this one to screen. That way I can have this report in the background, and then I can have the PDF of the ABL. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK on this one and give it some time to think. And there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. Well, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this real quick. And I'm going to bring up our ABL report. Okay, so there we go. Here is our account balance listing. And by definition, what this report does is it just provides account balances within a date range. So this beginning balance over here, this is going to be the ending balance that has been carried over from the previous end of month. The next one that we are looking at is going to be our receipts. Our receipts are going to be essentially our credits, any type of amount or some type of amount that was credited into our accounts in CourtView. This below that is correct. We're seeing that the disbursement totals is 342 for this given period. That matches up with our state and county auditors report, and that also matches up with our end of month check as well. The next column that we're looking at is going to be our checks or our debits. This is anything that's been debited out of our our accounts. So out of the bond filing fee, we've had $25 debited out of there, sent a check out of there, and for the given month, this is how much has been debited out. Okay, last column that we're particularly concerned about is just going to be our ending balance. This is going to be our receipts carried over as an ending balance. This is showing what was actually in those accounts once we processed our end of month. What's important on this one is to verify that our account balance listing and our bank balance listing match up. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to CourtView real quick. I'm going to minimize this and I'm going to go back to the BBL. Here's our BBL. What our BBL is, it provides a listing of deposits, checks, and balances for a bank account within a date range. What we want to do with the BBL is we want to match these accounts over here with what we have in our test environment. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this back up. I'm going to minimize this just a little bit. I'm going to go to page 2. And I'm going to maximize that a little bit. There we go. Okay, so our beginning balance, this one here, the total bank transactions, should match up with our beginning balance here. The next one should be our debits, $1,093.05. That matches up with the debit total that's over here. The next one is going to be the ending balance, which is $4,707. That's going to be our current balance. Those match up as well. And lastly is going to be this credits total, which is, it's showing negative $24,158, which does match up here. But again, this is just a test environment. So some things, they do match up, but since we've been doing a little bit of testing in here, some of these numbers are just going to show that negative amount. For you guys, it should be some positive amount. If it's not, you guys are more than welcome to call the service desk. So again, just to kind of recap this, the beginning balance should match up with your beginning balance. The credits should match up with your credits on the BBL. Your debits match up with your debits. And then the ending balance matches up with the current balance. When all of those 4 amounts are matching between those 2 reports, you know that your guys' CourtView is within balance, your end of month was processed successfully, and there's no strange receipts sitting out there or something wasn't receipted correctly to some account. So there we know everything's reconciled. Go ahead and print out that check. We'll go ahead and do that right now just to show the whole entire process. So awesome. You can print these out and keep them for your records as well. We definitely recommend that. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this, and I'm going to exit out of the BBL as well. This takes us back to CourtView in the financial management screen. So what we did is we are going to go up to functions and print checks. What we're going to do at this point is we know that our end of month check is correct at $342. We can now print that check out. I'm going to go ahead and hit this, and then that brings us to the check creation screen. In the bank account, I'm going to go ahead and select the little gray box, which brings in our bank account, and that gives us our end of month check. If we were to select this or highlight it and then hit open, it's going to show us all the check details that are associated with this end of month check. It has given us all of our different accounts, and this is essentially what we saw in that state and county auditor now matches up. So this is more just informational for the users. I'm going to go ahead and hit close one time on this. And now we are ready to print this check out. The only thing that's left to do is select a check number. Again, double check with your court procedures if you guys actually print out physical checks, or if you just print out these checks to a blank piece of paper as a voucher. If you do print out physical checks, please be sure to enter it or load the check into the printer and then start printing this out. So we're going to go ahead and give this a check number of 3500. Okay. Once we enter in that check number, the only thing that's left to do is just hit save. Once we hit save, it's going to give us 2 print dialog boxes, one of which is the actual check, the second one being the check listing report. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So here's the first one. I'm going to go ahead and print that out to PDF. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to name it test EOM check. Here's our next one. So I'm going to do print as well to PDF, and that one is going to be our test EOM listing. Save. So now we're going to go ahead back to our desktop. They're right here, so let's go ahead and take a look at the check. There we go. We have our check in the check format right here. This may look a little different to you guys. There are different check formats in CourtView. So this may look a little different. This might look the same. And then below that, we're just going to see what we saw when we opened up that check detail in the print check screen. We see all of the check details here showing how much is coming out of what account. All right, then let's go ahead and go back to our desktop and look at the listing. And here we go, our check listing. So this is going to show how much was pulled out from each account. So $30 from the copy fees, $28 from the AA justice fee, so on and so forth. These I would recommend printing out and including on your end of month reporting as well. And that right there should take care of it. I'm going to close out all of these tabs here. I'm going to head back into CourtView. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what we just discussed. What we discussed was we looked at, we talked about what the end of month is. We talked about how to access the end of month screen, the end of month cash book, how to add a new record and include the correct dates for your end of month. And then we also went ahead and looked at the 3 reports, which are the state and county auditor's report, to look and verify to make sure that the collections for that period match up to your end of month check. We looked at the ABL, the account balance listing report. We looked at the BBL, which is the bank balance listing report. And then we went ahead and printed out that check using some check number. And then we printed out the check itself with the check listing. That concludes this video. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact the trial court service desk. Have a great day. Thank you.